Greetings and bienvenue everyone, I am your esteemed host Wolfless64. Welcome to my channel and please enjoy the video. I have noticed that many of ye tarnished are not yet subscribed. With that in mind, go ahead and takers flame that like button and subscribe for more of my annoying input no one asked for. It means a lot and helps me keep the lights on. With all of that out of the way, let's get it. So, continuing on where I left off from bitching about the earlier magic weapons in the Moonlight or the Moonveil and the Dark Moon Greatsword, I would like to now redirect all of our attention collectively to one of the more better balanced magic weapons I would dare say is in all of Elden Ring currently so far, the Glintstone Kris. It is a dagger that you are rewarded with at the end of Selen's questline, provided you helped her out instead of fighting her with Jaren. You help her kill Jaren and he dies, you get his set, but then she rewards you the Glintstone Kris as a token of her favor. You need only 5 strength to use it, 12 dexterity, and then 16 intelligence. So that means the standard astrologer could use it fresh out the box if they really felt like it. As you can see here against Margit, it's not doing the best damage, but this is the unleveled variant of it, as I will also be testing, just like with the Moonveil and the Dark Moon Greatsword, all 11 versions of it, meaning the unleveled variant, which I am currently using right now, and then +1 through +10 of the Somber category. It is, as I said, a Somber Smithing Stone weapon, so it gets up to a +10 when fully maxed out. And for the most part, as I'm looking here at the Fextra Life Wikipedia page, it gets an E in strength, which makes sense because it's a dagger. It doesn't need to have a whole lot of strength to it, or it doesn't need the best strength scaling. You get a D scaling in dexterity, however, which is more physical damage than it is the magic damage. And then you get a D scaling in intelligence. And that remains the same until you get to +5, where it remains an E in strength. That will be the same until you get even at +10. Then the dexterity stat gets a C scaling, and then it also remains at a D for the intelligence scaling. However, at +7, the variant changes. The dex and intelligence scaling change to a C for dex and int respectively, and then that remains the same until you get to +10. The only real reason I would recommend going up to +10 is just for the pure physical damage. If you wanted to save yourself some somber weapons, I suppose I could recommend people get to the +7 variant where it gets a C scaling in intelligence, and then just cram as much status points into intelligence as they wanted to, just to make it that much more disgusting. I mean, and to go back onto the balancing, how I feel that this is one of the more balanced weapons in Elden Ring. Yes, it's a dagger, so it's not going to be the god killer that we would want it to be, but that's also one of the, selling points of it, is that it's a fucking dagger. It can hit like a truck if you're very specific about how you level it up. As you can see here, as I go down the variants, just like with any other magic-based weapon over the past 3 that I've been reviewing, they get steadily stronger and stronger as the weapon upgrades go, because a lot of their abilities, actually I think both for the Dark Moon Greatsword's Moonlight Greatsword, that's the weapon art move, or the unique skill, sorry. The Transient Moonlight and Glintstone Dart on the Moonveil, and then the Glintstone Kris, I think they both scale off of your intelligence faith, or the damage of their magical unique skills, excuse me. I do believe that both the strength of all of those skills is determined purely by the weapon upgrade level and intelligence that you also have. Because I'm sure if I actually put in the effort to, actually I did put in the effort, I'm sorry. I put in the effort to maximize the amount of intelligence I can have. I gave myself roughly 80 to 89 int plus the uh, plus the crystal, the intelligence not crystal tier that increases a player's intelligence by 10 entire levels for 3 whole minutes, plus the magic shrouding crack tier, then the full spell, spell blade set that Roger uses, which also I think each piece increases the magic damage. It's supposed to increase the magic damage of Glintstone spells by 5% per piece of armor used or piece of clothing used because it's a whole set. So given that it would be the hat, which is 1, the chest piece, which is 2, the gloves, which is 3, and then the greaves or pants, which is 4, that's, I said 5%, which is 5, 10, 15, and 20 points altogether if you wear all of that. On top of that, if you really wanted to maximize the amount of damage you could squeeze out of this, you could also run the spell setup that I am running at the same time. I guess this is also a tutorial on how to be the most disgusting mage you could physically possibly be. You could also run the Dark Moon, Ronnie's Dark Moon sorcery, which when it hits an enemy deals 217 frostbite damage, in addition to the full moon properties of it, reducing a target's magical defense by I think 20% for a certain amount of time. And also in both moon spells devour other spells with their gravitational pull. So if you were to fight another mage and you casted a moon while they were casting any of their spells, it would just simply get devoured by the moon's gravitational pull, obviously, as I said. But yeah, it's the reduction of the magic damage absorption that really could make this, much more devastating than it is, as you'll see at the +10 variant when we get to it. And also taking the liberty of not eating an exalted flesh, because that doesn't actually boost anything other than probably the follow-up thrust of the dagger, because that would be physical. That would have physical damage with it, as well as the magic damage of the Glintstone Kris thrust, because it's imbued with magic for both sections of the weapon art for Glintstone dart. But yeah, and then I also use Uplifting Aromatic, which boosts all attacks by I think 15% roughly. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I was incorrect about that. I probably am. It's been a while since I've actually paid attention to the damage negations of certain items. But yeah, with all of that put together, you can climb into the quadruple digits or higher with your damage if you very much want to. And it's not to say that you shouldn't do something like that, especially for the Glintstone Kris. It needs quite a bit of help, but as I've stated before, with the Dark Moon Greatsword and the Moon Veil, neither of them very much need any help. As you saw in the last video, I did the +10 variants with both of them. I didn't really feel the need to go back and do the full Spellblade set with the Dark Moon Greatsword on top of the 2 buffs that I was using. Or maybe I did. I can't remember. It's been a while. It was like a while ago. I have a very terrible memory. Back on track, I would wager that yes, that this is a dagger. It's not going to do the most obscene damage, but I feel like as far as the 3 big magic weapons go, once again, the Dark Moon Greatsword, the Moon Veil, and the Glintstone Kris. The Glintstone Kris comes out on top as being the most balanced. You don't get a shit ton of damage early on, but it is enough to warrant keeping an eye on it. And I would recommend the Glintstone Kris and the Dark Moon Greatsword as like, let me rephrase. I praised them both as good little, good ample rewards at the end of completing Ronnie's questline before you get her ending, and then Selen's questline respectively. Finishing both of those finishing them gets you both weapons, or both access to both weapons, and they are very good. The Dark Moon Greatsword is amazing because it's one of the legendary armaments, and it, unlike any of the other legendary armaments, feels like it actually understands what it means to be a legendary armament when it gets the fuck out of bed in the morning. Dear God. Snaf, we all know the Snaf nerf of, what was it, 1.06 or something. You can correct me in the comments about that one too. I don't remember. I do remember that Snaf used to be pretty fucking devastating until that nerf. I think I vaguely remember playing it before and after the nerf, and I was like, this feels kind of the same, but not nearly as the looming threat as it used to be. Anyway, back on track, tangent over. The Glintstone Kris boosted like the others fairly easily. But again, I would wager that this is a much more balanced weapon than anything. And it's a lot more difficult to get, so even if it did do obscene amounts of damage, unless you have a mod or a friend to just drop it for you, which a lot of people are getting nowadays, the friend part, you're not going to have an extremely early access to it unless you're just that guy when it comes to completing quest lines. Again, you only really need to complete one quest line, or you only need to kill one boss to get the Glintstone Kris. You need to kill General Radahn, which is not easy in and of itself, but there are thousands upon thousands of YouTube videos on how to cheese Radahn, and so you can just follow those. Some of them might have been patched, so if they're over a year old, just assume that they're patched and look for more recent videos, because those would have the new patches. I think we're currently on 1.12 or 1.3 or something, or 1.13. I think we're on 1.13 now, or we might be going into 1.13 or something like that. I can't remember the specifics off the top of my head. I would have to look at it in game. But yeah, look for more recent videos. They'll give you a good rundown on how to get through Radahn. They also might give you a good rundown on how to beat Estelle, because for the Dark Moon Greatsword fight, you need to, or the Dark Moon Greatsword questline, which is Ranni's questline, you need to defeat Radahn again to progress Ranni's questline. And also you need to defeat Estelle, Natural Born of the Void, which is a fairly decent fight. It's more difficult if you're a pure mage build, because he'll just eat up your magic damage like no one's fucking business. He'll eat it up like, I don't know, I don't even have an analogy off the top of my head, I'm sorry. But yeah, General Radahn will also eat up a good bit of magic damage, but if you have a high enough output, you can kind of outclass him. He is weaker to physical damage, so if you are a pure mage, and same with Estelle, I would highly recommend using the Rock Sling sorcery. It only costs you 18 intelligence to use, which is 2 more than what the astrologer class starts off with. And you can get it fairly early on in Caelid. I'm sure you can find videos about how to get to it and where to get it, and I would recommend using the as brand new mages, I would highly recommend using the meteoric ore staff, or I think that's what it's called. No, I think it's just the meteoric staff. That boosts gravity sorceries, which doesn't sound very appealing. However, you can't level it up because it already has an S scaling in intelligence, which is the best you can get at that point in the game. I mean the scaling is the best you can get, period. But then it has, but then it gets outclassed by other Glintstone staffs that also do impressive scaling, like the Carrion Regal Scepter, that staff, Azure staff. All 3 of those get S scalings in intelligence, but they have extremely high intelligence requirements. I think the Carrion Regal Scepter requires 60 intelligence, whereas the 2 Luzette and Azure's staffs require at least 52 intelligence, so you can run around with all of that in a bag of chips and, just torque everything out of your mind. Do keep in mind though that both of the master staffs of Lucette and Azure take take a more heavy FP toll, so you're gonna have to, you know, beef up your FP a little bit there. But yeah, I just wanted to shine some light on these 3 magical weapons. I understand that they're fan favorites, and for good reason. Dear God, do I know how fucking wonderful they are. I have used them myself in several mage builds that I have made over the past 2 years. But yeah, I just wanted to shine a little light on the subject, give my 2 cents on everything. And yeah, I'll be out to let you guys enjoy the last of this fight. Bye-bye.